hello to the pessimistic, optimistic, and everyone in between. My name is Connor Philippi, and welcome back to the Minnesotan Sports Podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, we are into the most exciting part of the NFL regular season, the last 2 weeks of the regular season, where so much is going to change in the playoff picture. And next week, stay tuned for a video where I'm going to be completely nerding out over all the different potential playoff scenarios, how each different win or loss is going to impact how the different teams are going to stack up and which teams will be left in and left out. All the different, there's all these crazy tiebreakers that are going to end up factoring into that. So I'm going to go over all of that stuff next week. But for now, we're just going to be doing our typical video, breaking down all the different games and who we think will win each one. So first of all, let's just give a quick reminder of how things are looking currently in the playoff picture. Right now, the Dolphins are at 11-4 in going across the different divisions here. The Bills would need to win out, including a win against the Dolphins in Week 18, if they were to leap over and get that division lead, which isn't impossible because the Bills play the Patriots this week. The Dolphins have to play the Ravens this week, the number one seed in the AFC right now. So definitely possible for that to still happen. In the AFC North, technically the Ravens still could lose that division to the Browns. It would take a win by the Dolphins over the Ravens. The Browns would have to win out as well. So that is almost wrapped up by the Ravens, but still very possible that the Browns take that division. The AFC South is a complete crapshoot. 3 teams at 8-7, all battling it out. None of these teams really deserve the division, but there's always a division like this every single year. So a lot of stuff is going to change in that division, which would be exciting to watch. The Kansas City Chiefs technically also have not clinched their division, but I doubt the Raiders are going to win out, and I doubt the Chiefs are going to lose 2 fairly easy games. So that's pretty much locked up. In the NFC East, the Eagles and Cowboys are technically still battling it out, but the Eagles would basically have to lose out at this point because they have basically every single. Well, actually, now that the Eagles have lost a couple games here, they have a lot of things that could still happen in terms of the different strength of victories and everything. Of course, the Eagles would have to lose at least one of their next 2, or lose one of their next 2, and they have 2 of the easiest matchups throughout the rest of the season. So most likely the Eagles are going to win that division. Cowboys are pretty much locked into the 5th seed if they lose that. Lions have locked up the NFC North with a win over the Vikings last week. And then the Buccaneers, Falcons, and Saints are still kind of battling it out for the NFC South. Finally, the 49ers have already clinched the NFC West with the Rams and Seahawks fighting for a playoff spot. Going into the wild card selections here, the Browns, Bills, and Colts are at 10-5, 9-6, and 8-7 currently in those spots, with the Texans, Steelers, Bengals, technically Raiders and Broncos, but let's be honest, it's really between those 5 remaining teams that are all 8-7 trying to fight for those last few playoff spots. And then in the NFC, the Cowboys are a lock basically for that 5th seed. The Rams, Seahawks, Vikings, and technically Falcons, Packers, and Saints are all battling it out for those final 2 spots. But in actuality, it really is between the Rams, Seahawks, and Vikings, realistically, for that final spot. Although crazier things have happened, there's still ways for all these different teams to sneak in. But with all that stuff aside, let's just go over all these different games, and I'll give you my honest predictions on who I think will win. And we'll start things off with tomorrow's game, or you'll see this on Thursday. But it's the Jets at the Browns, and the Browns are currently 7-1 at home. The Jets have been playing some of their worst football all year long. Joe Flacco is honestly tearing it up right now. It's crazy to watch. Amari Cooper had one of the most impressive performances of his, probably the most impressive performance of his career so far. You just can't imagine, with the Browns still technically in the running for their division, with them wanting to wrap up that 5th seed this week and potentially even rest their starters next week, depending on what happens with the Bills and their division chances. So I just can't imagine the Browns lose this game at home against a team like the Jets. So I say the Browns win this one. a very exciting Saturday game, Lions at Cowboys. Now, this is going to be the only game of the night. It should be really exciting. And the Lions are trying to prove a lot right now, I think, because they have definitely lost some games that they really should have won. They recently just barely snuck by the Vikings. And in terms of their strength of schedule, they really have not played a whole lot of impressive teams besides beating the Chiefs earlier on in the season, the first week of the season. They really need to win this game to make a statement. Otherwise, this year's Lions are just going to be starting to be viewed as last year's Vikings, where they are a good regular season team. They rack up a lot of wins against teams they should beat, and they have a way to, a flair for the dramatic and a way to win close games, but they just can't get the job done when it really matters. They can definitely prove that narrative wrong if they can get this win over the Cowboys. That being said, the Cowboys have not lost a game at home this entire season, and the way the Lions played against the Vikings, I just feel like the Cowboys, even with a tough loss over the Dolphins, they still have a little bit more momentum going into this game, and the Dallas has a line to win this one by 6, actually. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys to win this game. I'm going to skip the Packers-Vikings game. I got to be honest, I still don't understand how that could possibly be the 7:20 game, the Sunday Night Football game. I understand that you can't flex it at this point, and I understand they're still division rivals, and one of these teams is going to end up being officially knocked out of the playoffs by the other, and it's a whole dramatic thing. But I still don't understand how that can be 7:20 when one of the most anticipated games of the season in the Dolphins and the Ravens fighting it out for that number 1 seed is at noon. I think it's kind of stupid. I'm going to be doing an actual full preview of this game, so make sure you tune in to watch that in the next couple days, because that's going to be an interesting matchup, not necessarily in a good way, but we'll have to see how it goes. But I'll leave my prediction for that video. Make sure to watch it. Patriots, Bills. The Bills with a opportunity, and a serious opportunity, like I mentioned, since the Dolphins have a tough matchup on their hands. The Bills will definitely be playing their hearts out in this game to try and stay alive for the AFC East crown. Not to mention the fact that if they win this game, they basically clinch the division or the playoffs. I don't know if they do officially or not, but you have to imagine that they do. So, the Patriots have just been playing awfully. I mean, there's really no other way to put it, and so I gotta go with the Bills, especially since they're 6-2 at home. I just don't see how they can lose. I'm going with the Bills with this one. Falcons at Bears now, another noon game. The Falcons need to win this game to stay alive in both the playoff picture and in their division. The Bears, 6-9, honestly have been playing some better football as of late. I think a lot of people, after seeing the way they started the season, didn't think they'd win much more than 2 or 3 games this season, and they kind of proved that wrong. Taylor Heinicke definitely playing better than Ritter was, and so Heinicke being in there definitely helps things for the Falcons. But I'm sorry, I'm going to go with the Bears here. I think that the Falcons are going to end up getting their playoff hopes dashed. The Bears, 4-3 at home, actually. Falcons are 2-5 away. This Falcons team has just been finding ways to lose important games as of late. They lost that game to the Panthers, and that really made me lose more respect for them as a team that I should fear in any degree, and I really don't think we should anymore. At Soldier Field, a tough place to play, especially at this time of year. I'm going to go with the Bears to win this game. Sorry, Falcons fans. If my prediction comes true, you'll be out of the playoffs officially. The Colts now sitting at 8-7. The Colts can really improve their chances to win this AFC South if they find a way to win this game. Both teams struggling in both away and home, with the Colts losing 3 out of the 4 or 3 out of the 7 games so far at home. The Raiders are 2-5 away. Minshew, honestly, he hasn't been horrible. He hasn't been great. This is a tough one. I'm going to go with the Colts here. I think that the Raiders are a team that's going off of a lot of momentum, but in a lot of those cases, when you take down a Goliath like the Raiders did with the Chiefs last week, and you have all that energy, you're running off of a high and all that stuff, it tends to come crashing down the next week unless you really can find a way to keep that momentum consistent. And I just don't know if the Raiders are a good enough team to keep that momentum consistent. I'm going to say the Colts win this game, which would be a huge win for them as they improve to 9-7, get themselves a good playoff chance as well as a really good chance to win the AFC South. Let's go with the Rams and Giants next. Rams also really needing this win to continue on in the NFC. With the Vikings playing the Packers, they know that they need to win out if they're going to have a good chance of overtaking, or not overtaking, but maintaining that wild card spot. The Giants, after having kind of a nice little run there with DeVito, now they have not looked good in the last couple weeks. The Rams and Stafford, I mean, they've been in this situation before, specifically Stafford's been here before. I don't think Stafford's going to lose a game like this. I really don't. So I'm going to say the Rams win this one, improve to 9-7, and greatly increase their chances of staying alive in the playoff picture. Cardinals and Eagles win. I'm not going to spend much time on this. Philadelphia favored by 10.5 right now. If the Philadelphia Eagles lose this game, I would be shocked. Absolutely shocked. Here's one of the biggest games of the week, honestly. Saints at Buccaneers. The Buccaneers can all but seal the NFC South if they were to win this game. They're 4-3 at home right now. A very even split here with a 2.5 advantage for Tampa Bay in betting odds. Mayfield has honestly played a pretty impressive season, especially considering what we all expected of him. We saw the very early training camp passes where both him and Kyle Trask were just looking really bad, and we all jumped to conclusions with it, and I definitely did the exact same thing. But Mayfield has actually led this team pretty well. The Saints are dealing with a lot of different issues. Derek Carr and the quarterback situation. The Saints just seem like they are kind of a mess of a team right now. Honestly impressive that they've been able to get to this 7-8 mark with all the different question marks in their organization and where they're going to go for the future. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers, especially with this being a home game. I say the Buccaneers all but clinch the NFC South with a win over the Saints. Next one, 49ers, Commanders. Let's not waste too much time on this one either. The 49ers coming off of an embarrassing loss to the Ravens. They have a lot to prove now the rest of the season, and they're going to be angry going into this matchup. This is going to remind me, I think, a lot of when the Dolphins went into that matchup a couple weeks ago against the Jets, and they were just angry, and they took it all out on them after the frustrating loss to the Titans. I think this is going to happen the exact same way. I don't care who's in at quarterback. I don't care if Purdy has to miss another game to get right. Sam Darnold could be in there. I honestly think that anyone could be in there for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey could be on the field himself, and they'd probably still find a way to win this game versus the Commanders. Panthers at Jaguars. The Jags need to win this game to stay alive as the number one team in the AFC South, and this could look a lot like a trap game here, especially with the way Trevor Lawrence has been playing and the fact that he's still dealing with his injuries. But I really don't see the way the Jags could lose this game at home. Even though they are 3-5 at home, the Panthers have not won an away game all season long. You can't imagine any scenario where the Jags lose with as much on the line as they have. So I'm going to go with the Jags to win that one, improve to 9-7, and it's going to be a real battle between the next few teams here for the AFC South. Now for the real matchup here, the biggest matchup of the entire week. We've got Dolphins, we've got Ravens, and these are two teams that I feel like are two teams that are really going to rely on having some home games in the playoffs. You've seen the way the Dolphins get into a certain rhythm. We've seen the way the Ravens get into a certain rhythm when they don't have that crowd noise. And so I think that winning this game and getting that home field advantage is going to be huge. Oh, I really want to pick the Dolphins here. I feel like the Ravens made such a huge statement against the 49ers. It's possible that they get a little too excited off of that win and aren't necessarily, I'm not saying they're going to be unprepared for the Dolphins, but it's the same kind of thing like I was talking about earlier. When you come off of that exciting of a win, sometimes there is a little bit of a lull. The Dolphins coming off of an impressive win against the Cowboys, but not necessarily a highly emotional win compared to the Ravens. I don't know. I feel like I like the Dolphins in this game, and there's really no bad answer to this. Both are two amazing teams, and so you can't really say either one is a bad pick, which would send a serious message throughout the entire NFL, because I think the Ravens made their statement last week. The Dolphins beat the Cowboys, and it was like, oh, okay, well, the Cowboys suck away. So, the Cowboys suck in away games. So, is that really a good statement of, oh, we beat a better? The Dolphins can either make this a really close game or especially win this game, and they would make a huge statement for the NFL. I think they do so, and I think they win this game. Titans and Texans. The Texans also have a legitimate chance to still take this AFC South. CJ Stroud most likely going to be back for this game, and the Texans barely beat the Titans last time they played, and that was in Tennessee. And this time it's in Houston. You've got your starting QB back, and with the playoffs and what they have on the lines, it was still an opportunity to host a playoff game. I think the Texans will find a way to dig this one out and win against the Titans. I do think it'll be a fairly close one though, but I do say the Texans will get this win. Steelers at Seahawks. This is one where if you're a Vikings fan, you're really hoping the Steelers can find a way to pull this off. Seahawks only coming into this as 3.5 favorites to win this game. Seahawks are a very good home team this year at 5-2. Geno Smith has been pretty good this season, and I feel like this wide receiver core is heating up right at the right time. In Jigba, he's dealing with some injuries right now, but he is finding his rhythm now as a rookie, and DK Metcalf is going to end up being clutch for them. I can't see the Seahawks losing this game, especially with the Steelers' offense and the way they've been playing. Now, they did have a much better game last week, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to stay and be consistent, especially because the Bengals have been a pretty inconsistent team. Who knows if the Steelers beat them for whatever reason they did. I just feel like the Seahawks at home are the team that I'm going to pick for this one. Bad offenses do bad in away games, and that's just the long and short of it. So I'm going to say the Seahawks win. Second to last game here, Chargers at Broncos. Now, the Broncos are benching Russell Wilson. I mean, this is going to be a heck of a game, and not for the right reason, because Russell Wilson benched in this game, for reasons where they know that they're not going to be able to make the playoffs now, and Russell Wilson is under contract in a way where if Russell were to get a huge ACL tear or something like that and miss the majority of next season, the Broncos would still be on the hook to pay him. And if they don't play him here, they can protect their assets. And so Russell Wilson's not going to be in for the Broncos, and Justin Herbert got hurt a few weeks ago for the Chargers. So it's going to be just two mediocre backup QBs battling it out. So it doesn't really matter what I pick here. It's just going to be a really crappy game to watch. But for the sake of being a home team, I say the Broncos will take this one, improve to 8-8. But, man, it's going to be just a bad game to watch. So I feel bad for whoever has that game on their TV on New Year's Eve. And then finally, Bengals at Chiefs. Now, the Bengals need to win this game to stay alive in the playoff picture, whereas the Chiefs are hoping they can wrap up the AFC West with a win here. And I think there's a lot of people they're trying to prove wrong with this game. Kansas City, 7-point favorites here. I just don't think at Arrowhead that the Chiefs will end up losing this game. Surprisingly, the Chiefs are 4-4 at home this year, which is not something you usually expect from a team led by Mahomes and everything. This offense is not firing on all cylinders, but I do think they're going to figure it out in this game and figure out a way to get a win. It's not like the Chiefs to lose this many games this late in the season. I think I'm going to at least trust Mahomes enough to get a win against the Chiefs and this Bengals team led by Jake Browning. So anyway, and once again, the 7:20 game Sunday Night Football, I'll do my score prediction of that Vikings-Packers game when I do my full preview of that game like I do for all the Vikings games every week. So stay tuned for that in the next couple days. But that does it for this video. Let me know in the comments which matchup you're most likely looking forward to. And it's probably going to be either the team you're rooting for, the team that you support, or the Dolphins-Ravens game, because that's going to be such a good game. And hopefully that's on TV for everyone. I'm not sure if it will or not. but it'll be a lot of fun. This week is going to be huge for seeding and all that stuff. So stay tuned for my reactions to all the action next week and my breakdown of all the playoff pictures and everything like that. It should be a lot of fun. So excited to experience it all with you. And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the flip side.